Hey guys, VaulSC here, hope that you're doing well. In this video we're going to be looking at a game between the Nords and Old Dominion in Conquest, the Last Argument of Kings. I will be playing the Nords, and the reason for that is that I've been borrowing a collection of miniatures from my buddy Jed, and the reason for that is so that I can take photos of them with my brand new Canon R10, I think it is, and I've been scanning them into Tabletop Simulator. So if you guys haven't already checked out the 3D Miniatures mod, please do, because it's amazing. It really makes Conquest worth playing online on Tabletop Simulator, and we're getting a community which is really kicking off at the moment. There's even a tournament going on online internationally. You can play against other people. It's been really amazing. So do check that out. But while I have the miniatures available to me, I decided to play a game against our local buddy Alan. He has just started collecting Old Dominion. He is a new Conquest player, but this gentleman is somebody that I used to play back in my War Machine and Hordes days, if you guys can remember that. Fans of this channel will remember that between approximately 2010 to approximately 2015, this YouTube channel was focused on War Machine and Hordes, and I was playing Khador and Circle and Menoth and all of that sort of stuff, and Alan was one of the local guys that I played against. So he's an experienced wargamer, but he's just started to get to grips with Conquest Last Argument of Kings, so I will be at a bit of a handicap, not really sort of being experienced with Nords, and the army list that I'm running will be based on the models available to me that this, my friend actually owns, so that's a setback for me. But of course my opponent is inexperienced. It's only his like his third or fourth game, so we are sort of even in that regard. As you guys know, I have a lot to say about game balance. I think that Nords in particular are an extremely strong faction so long as you pick specifically like the meta build that's like just powerful for tournaments at the moment, and provided that you're very good at the game and you know exactly what you're doing. Anything short of that, Nords are a trash faction. They are actually very weak and difficult for new players to use, but don't be put off by that. The great thing about them is that if you start playing Nords, the skill curve, the learning curve is just going to go way up, and you can actually get quite a lot out of the faction. They have amazing potential. All right, so Nords are actually very, very cool. Love the miniatures as well, mind you, now that I've been getting up close with them, and you guys may have seen some of my galleries online. Old Dominion, of course, you guys, by now you know how I feel about Old Dominion. We are well in need of a patch for Last Argument at the moment. I'd like to put out a new video soon, just going over all of the wish listing and changes that I'd be asking for. Old Dominion don't win every tournament. They don't even do that well against the best Nords builds and the best Wadroons builds, but the thing is, there's a very boring cookie-cutter Old Dominion build out there, which most people play some variation of, and it's extremely difficult to beat unless you know exactly what you're doing and you've got exactly the right army to deal with it. It's just a bit frustrating at the moment. But I'm not going to harp on about it too much in this video. We're going to focus on the game and the bat rep and the enjoyment of that. Let us indeed start with the mission, and I'll just bring my little camera up over here. So we're playing Bullwark, which is a scenario where you've got two of these zones, and there's three objectives, one neutral in the middle that both of you can kill, and each player controls one of the two objectives on these zones, meaning that your opponent has to kill your one before they can take that circle. But on the other side, you're protecting the marker that protects the zone, and you're trying to score from that as soon as you can. So it makes that sort of flank dynamic very interesting. You do have to split your army up a fair bit, but there is only two main focal points for the battle to do that. And the points that are yielded from each zone flip around, so the odd number of turns, one player's getting an additional 2 from one side, and then it flips back for the even number of turns there. You can see 3, 5, 9 and versus 2, 4, 6, 8. And of course there's a little bit for the objective in the middle and for the Warlord as well. And typically you can get a bonus point for having both zones. So that's how that looks. So I have, because my buddy Jed here with his Nords army that he's loaned me doesn't even have any command cards. What is he doing? So I've gone and printed some based on the Parabellum art from the website. As you can see here, my nice little Blooded and Bow Chosen. You can see the army lists in the video description. I won't go into them too much. Alan is just using the miniatures that he owns now, and I'm using the miniatures that Jed happens to have. I'm proxying a Hephaestian from City States as an Ice Jotnar, and I'm proxying the Huskarls as Steel Chosen. They are a unreleased regiment for Nords. I think they're kind of cool because with 7 wounds, they can soak up a bit of damage and make more use of the +1 attack from the faction ability, and Cleave 2 is always a good ability to have. Jed only has 3 Huskarl stands, so normally I prefer to run Huskarls and like 5 or 6 of them in a block to make better use of Untouchable, but I've decided to proxy them as Steel Chosen just since I've only got 3 stands, and Steel Chosen's kind of work in a lower number. So I'm bringing on the Blooded and the Bow Chosen and another unit of Bow Chosen. Here are my cards. Don't they look great? Don't they look cool? This is not Midjourney, by the way. This is not AI art. This is stuff from the Conquest website. I have used Midjourney to generate some AI images, but only for the regiments that I don't have art for at this point in time. So moving to the center of the table with my first regiment of Bow Chosen. These are actually Stalkers, but representing Bow Chosen because, again, I'm limited with the models that I have, so some proxies are in play here. My opponent, of course, bringing on the ubiquitous block of a Praetorian Guard with the Strategos that always seems to have the +2 to Aura of Death, along with the +2 from the unit for +4 total, Aventine Armor for automatically passing an armor save, and Eternal Discipline for Untouchable. It basically means this block is invulnerable against shooting. Bow Chosen can do some work if they roll 1s for precise shot, but even then, you know, Praetorians have evasion for some stupid reason. Don't get me started about this unit. It's just, it is beatable. Like, if you play Wadrun, you take a Tontor. The Tontor absolutely crushes because of Linebreaker. Thunder Riders do very well as well. But overall, there are just so many, you know, casual player Amulists which just can't deal with this regiment at all. It's a bit frustrating, but I'm sure Parabellum will fix that. So, my other unit of Bow Chosen moving to the center. My plan here is to ignore that Praetorian brick and commit everything to the other side of the table, hopefully wipe him out on the other zone, score some points on that, and then move over with, like, Bow Chosen plus cleave units and try and gang up on the Praetorians in the last phase of the game. That is the game plan. So the Kheres now coming on next to the Praetorians, and this is fantastic for me. This is a mistake from my opponent. It means that I can actually get more value from my plan of ignoring the Praetorian Guard, because he's going to have to camp that zone with just the Praetorian Guard. The Kheres can't score, so he's going to have to leave the Praetorian Guard there, and I'm not going to have to deal with either of these 2 regiments for a long time. So I'm just really happy that he's done this. Turn 2, bringing on the Fenr. This is indeed an AI-generated art piece, just because I didn't have a good art handy for the Fenr. And then starting with the Blooded, Shaman, Bow Chosen, Raiders, Fenr, and Bow Chosen after that. So over here we have some Legionnaires with the Hierodeacon coming on the extreme left-hand side. He doesn't want to move directly into the crossfire of Bow Chosen, and I don't blame him. They could really wipe out one unit if they get lucky, and he doesn't want to lose the Hierodeacon too early because he's got Dark Supplication generating Dark Power this way and Dark Shepherd. So, because he's not committed anything opposite to my Bow Chosen in the center, I'm just going after that middle objective and plinging 1 point off of it. He then moves in his Archimandrite towards the center of the table, just staying back behind this house because there are Bow Chosen up ahead. He doesn't want to get sniped, and he has taken an Acolyte on his Legionnaires for the Hierodeacon so that he can actually heal from a distance without having to use Unholy Sacrament. Alright, so this very green-looking miniature here is a 3D printed miniature that my friend Jed has created for, well, not, he didn't create it himself, but you know what I'm saying, he downloaded it and printed it to represent his Shaman. As you can see, my Raiders here, I picked up some of those special resin heads and shields that you get from tournament prize packs, and I've glued them onto Jed's Raiders here and then repainted just the skin. I am so proud of them. I think they look really neat. We then have the Fenr coming in from the side of the table reinforcement line very quickly. They're a very speedy unit, and they've got loose formation and fluid formation, so they are going to be trying to sneak up on the Hierophant's unit. And I keep calling it a Hierophant, that's from Warhammer. The Hierodeacon, I'm going to see if I can hunt him down somehow and stop him from continuing to use those spells, because they start to scale up late game with the Coruscation. Over here, we have the Praetorian Guard moving closer to the objective. The great thing for me is that it's going to take him a couple of rounds to destroy the objective, because they're only going to do 1 damage to it per turn, or per action, I should say. So that's awesome. The bow chosen in the center, my opponent has stayed out of range. If you look at the top of the photo, there are, I'll just grab the pen here. So this is the Hierodeacon's unit here, and this is the Archimandrite's unit here. And you can see that they're both cowering into the far background. So we're aiming all of our shots here into this objective to do damage to it until he comes further forward with something else to contest. All right, so Kheres moving past the Praetorians. Again, a bit of a positional mistake. He's not getting enough stands into range of the objective and still doesn't actually do any damage to it, despite shooting at it with one stand, which is in close range. Overview of the battlefield. This is the end of turn 2, so you can see what's happening here. I'm committing to the middle and to the right-hand side. He's staying away from me, so it looks very good, but it always does look good in the early game. For Nords, when we get into the extreme late game, that's when it becomes problematic for anybody that's not Old Dominion. So turn 3, we're going Shaman, Blooded, Bowchosen, Fenr, Raiders, and then Mountain Jotnar. I didn't manage to pick up my Trolls or my or anything else, to be honest, or Ogres. So we have the Shaman putting on the spell that gives the Fenrs the reroll armor saves just to start us off. Then he's moving on with his Optio unit of Legionnaires in the standard bearer. They're just racing onto the battlefield, 17 inches. I absolutely hate the fact that Parabellum have chosen to give this unit a free standard bearer that actually marches you an extra 2 inches, and they're cheaper than men-at-arms. It's just ridiculous. But the other problem is that they have the Memories of Old ability, which allows the command stand to count as an additional 2. So you got 1, 1, 1 plus 2. So they're going to count as 5. So as soon as they come in range of the zone, it just becomes so hard for me to stop them from scoring or contesting. So I'm going to have to try and shoot them or beat them in combat. It's just, yeah, it's a pain. All right, so Bowchosen continuing to shoot at this objective. This is the one that I have to kill before I can start scoring. So, you know, you may as well shoot it. The game plan is for me to pull ahead on points on this side of the table. So that is the idea. In the middle, he again hasn't committed anything. I'm shooting at this objective again. The idea is that if he doesn't really put anything in the center, eventually these Bowchosen will move past the house and start to whittle down the Praetorians, hopefully getting some rolls of 1s with their precise shot, which reduces defense to 0, so that when I move onto his side of the table later in the game, I'll have less Praetorians to deal with at the end. So with the Hierodeacon, he is using Dark Shepherd to remove Legionnaires, and the Archimandrite's bringing them back. So that's what's going on here. Dark Supplication as well here from the corner. I've decided to march charge through the forest into these guys because he's already activated the Legionnaires and the Hierodeacon this turn. So if I win the roll next turn, I'll be able to actually do quite a bit of damage with the Fenrs. If he wins the roll, he'll have to activate this unit first. I'll get to go first elsewhere, and maybe I can actually survive. But it's a little bit of a risky play. It's just because of the layout of the battlefield, I couldn't really see any good opportunities to get flanks with these guys. So I kind of wanted to hold this unit back from committing and contributing to the objective zone that I'm trying to capture right now, although it could result in me losing the Fenrs if I'm unlucky. That's okay. I'm willing to accept that risk. So the Archimandrite just gingerly pressing forward now. He knows that he could be in for trouble if the Bowchosen shoot at him, but he also wants to get in range of his spells, so he's just setting up here. And then I have a go at charging this objective with the Raiders. Now, one item I've taken for the Shaman is prize silver. I had to spare 5 points. I couldn't spend that on anything else. I've taken that to reroll 6s on the impact hits. This is a march charge onto the objective, which is already damaged twice. And the thinking is at the end of this turn, these guys can get 1 wound with their impact hits, and then I can score, which is going to be great. So they have 6 impact hits on 2s. I reroll 6s. I got no hits whatsoever, no damage to the objective, which is kind of frustrating. The silver lining, though, is that the objective itself does prevent him from attacking the Raiders because it blocks the positioning of any enemy Legionnaires to actually get into contact with the Raiders themselves unless they decide to come in an angle here and sort of set up shop over here where they won't get full frontage. That will mean they're not sort of fully in range of the zone as well. So that's kind of like a positive, but overall this is bad because the problem here is that Legionnaires have this amazing Memories of Vulnerability, which gives them +2, stands for seizing and contesting, etc., which means that he can actually outscore me at this point, which is a disaster because I'm committing my entire army to this one zone, and all it takes is one unit of fast Legionnaires to completely like thwart me for a couple of turns, which, you know, could cause me to lose the game entirely, which is it's depressing. So here we have the Bone Golems moving in behind the Legionnaires. This is sort of what I'm worried about. The other option that he can go with here is to move the Bone Golems past the Legionnaires and just tank face. If he does that, though, I do have all of my Bowchosen set up on that hill, ready to just pepper him, and Bowchosen are amazing against Bone Golems. Because of Precise Shot reducing defense to 0, they've got no evasion, but also because they are flat defense 3, and with the weight of fire from the Bowchosen, they end up taking a lot of hits. Mountain Jotnar moving through now, and the idea here is that I want to be able to get a flank on him if he does try that anyway. So if he does commit the Bone Golems here, we've got the Mountain Jotnar going on one flank and the Bowchosen going in the other. And if you want to visualize that, this is the objective here. If it gets destroyed, the Bone Golems could actually land at that spot there, allowing me to flank in through there with the Jotnar, and then I've got 2 units of Bowchosen just to absolutely hammer these Bone Golems. So this is sort of like the game plan. This is sort of what is meant to be happening. Over the other side, just a comedy of errors with the Old Dominion trying to kill the objective that belongs to me that's sort of stopping them from scoring here. They do manage to start getting some damage with a close-up here from the clash. All right, so this is turn 4. I'm starting with the Fenr, hoping to win the dice roll so the Fenr can actually get the full weight of attacks onto the Hierodeacon's unit. Then we're going to the Shaman to put like a reroll armor saves on the Raiders because they're like right in harm's way. Then all the Bowchosen will go. After that, we've got some characters just through the middle. Then I'm bringing the Trolls, the Ogres onto the board. We'll end with the Raiders right at the end there because they are the ones that are probably going to be clashing against Legionnaires. So that's the overview. You can sort of see that he's got his his Kheres and his Praetorians, the bulk of his army camped on the left. I've got everything else on the right to deal with what is primarily just going to be the Bone Golems. The rest of the Legionnaires aren't going to be too much of a problem. So unfortunately for me, I lost the Supremacy roll. I miscalculated it. He's got fewer cards. He did manage to win. And this is, again, partly because a lot of my stuff's come onto the table. He still has stuff left to come up. So I did not have the advantage with cards this time as I thought that I might. So the Hierodeacon blasts me with Black Flame Coruscation, and the Legionnaires attack the Fenrs and do all sorts of damage to them, which is painful. It does trigger their +1 attack, but it does break them at the same time. His Legionnaires decide to move up next to this objective, which is an interesting play. I think that this is a serious mistake. I personally would have got the Bone Golems involved at this point, even though what this does is that sort of it contests me because he's got Memories of Old up. Even though he's able to do that, it does give me the opportunity to wipe out the Legionnaires and then trigger my main plan, which is to box the Bone Golems in with a massive crossfire with the Giant and all the Bone Golems and eradicate them and just score very decisively after that. So what he's doing here is he's blocking his own Bone Golems in, so if I get another unit behind the Shaman's unit, I'll actually have more stands on him, and I should be able to score there, while still being able to shoot at him quite freely. So there is that. His Archimandrite is coming up a little bit further forward now, and what he decides to do, and this is quite an interesting play here, is the Archimandrite casts a spell onto the Legionnaires that gives them Aura of Death. So, in fact, I can't remember whether it happened this turn or next turn, but that's a play that he made at one point, and that means that if I actually get into combat with these guys, I'm going to take damage when I activate them next. So I think it was the following turn, actually, now that I think about it, that happened. Okay, so we have Bowchosen moving up, absolutely firing everything into the Archimandrite. This is a pretty walloping shot here because we've got, the character and the unit, and they reduce him to just like 1 wound or something shocking, so almost assassinated him. The Bone Golems deciding to reform and move up in a straight line, just getting ready to lock in with something, and I think the best thing that they could do really is just hang out behind the Legionnaires to contest the zone, but they're not quite that far forward because they didn't have the movement with the reform. We have the other unit of Bowchosen, which couldn't quite get range to the Archimandrite here, who only has 1 wound left, so that was disappointment. But they can knock out the objective in the middle and pull back a little bit. We are expecting a lot of his army to appear in the middle very soon, so they're just giving themselves some room and scoring me 3 points in the process. Kheres now moving around to try and eliminate this objective, but it still isn't down on the other side of the battlefield. We then have the trolls moving through the middle here. I'm expecting his Kataphraktoi at some point. I'm expecting them to need to flank something. So just getting in there ready to overtake the Bowchosen and screen them. His Archimandrite moves up and gets some sort of damage done. I think he fires at me with some sort of, baptism or something, whatever it is, doing the magic missile. I do have the spell interference though, so it didn't take up too much damage from that. Uga's moving through. These guys have cleave too, so they will assist me in finishing off the bone columns. It's going to take a group effort. It's going to take the whole team to take them down, so that's why they're arriving now. We then have the Steel Chosen also committing to this side of the table. The ultimate backup there, they may be needed in the fight against, for example, Kataphraktoi. These guys have cleave 2. The Konungyr is very good at dueling. He's got the cleave 1 broken blade. So these guys could be useful in the late game. And there's the Kataphraktoi there. So my opponent bringing them on. He hasn't used his Supremacy ability yet. The real danger of these guys is if he gets close enough for a charge and then another charge. For example, if he was here and then he activates his Supremacy, he can charge into these guys, get a free reform to face this way, and then charge again because of the Hetairos. And if he doesn't wipe out this unit in one go, the Hetairos lets you use the impact hits again. It's kind of nasty. So I have to be wary of them. So that's why I'm bringing my Ice Jotnar, faithfully proxied by the Hephaestion from City States. What I'm thinking may happen is that he may decide to march and then charge this unit or one of these units here, so I can then attack him with the Ice Jotnar, and with Cleave 3 that will greatly assist me against the Kataphraktoi. There are 4 of them plus the character, so I should be able to take them down with that giant. Speaking of giants, the other one comes through the forest, and because he has a play available to him where he could reform for free in the next turn with his Supremacy and form a little bit of a bus here, a little bit of a line where he's like facing this way with his bone golems and thread the needle through the gap in the forest. Being here means the Jotnar is not going to take impact hits, which is great because the forest shuts that down. And the bone golems, when they've got a lower frontage, aren't going to be able to wipe them out as easily with their clash, and there's going to be less aura of a death. So he's going to get a chance to attack them back with his Cleave 2 weapon and Inspire, etc., which is kind of the plan. And if they do attack him, it means they're not going to be heading towards a middle objective, which is, will be ideal for me. So I made the play here to destroy the objective and charge the Legionnaires. The impact hits do absolutely nothing. Please, please, please have a look in close detail of the heads of these raiders. I'm so proud of them. I did a lot of work painting them. I just think they look so cool. But anyway, the raiders have sort of bitten off more than they chew. I don't play this faction. I don't memorize Nord stats, and I had forgotten that they are only defense evasion 1. So if he puts Aura of Death on them, it's going to crush me. If he does any clash action against me, it's going to crush me. So for some reason, I thought they might have been defense 2. I just didn't look. That's my fault. Or even if they had better resolve. Anyway, we're coming into turn 5 shortly. I need to go first with the Bowchosen. The reason why is that I need to put a little bit of distance between them and the Kataphraktoi, making it harder for him to charge me. There is one play available to Old Dominion where they pop the Supremacy ability and the unit of Kataphraktoi expands into a long line, and then part of that line tilts towards you. It puts the corner point of the unit closer to you, which means the charge distance is lower, gives them the opportunity to charge you and then charge you again. I really didn't want that, so I'm deciding to activate all Bowchosen first, hopefully knocking out the Archimandrite, whose unit has 1 wound left, and then activating the rest of the army after that. So that is the battle line as the turn starts. So just to do a recap, these 2 units over here are doing absolutely nothing except for scoring. The Kataphraktoi are about to charge through. I don't want them to kill 2 regiments there. They can take 1. That's fine, because this guy can then counterattack. This unit of Legionnaires with the Archimandrite has 1 wound left. They're about to get shot. This brawl here is unfortunately causing me to not score. So, and I'm kind of like roadblocked here with my Steel Chosen and my Ogre, so I haven't played that great. And the Bone Golems, they're reduced. Well, they actually got 5 stands at the moment. One guy's in the forest there, so it remains to be seen what he does with them. But I feel like I'm prepared for them. So I win the Supremacy roll, Bow Chosen go first, they shoot the Legionnaires and plink them off and kill them, and then pull back. In fact, sorry, that is incorrect reporting. I lost the Supremacy roll. The Archimandrite activated first and put the Aura of Death onto his own Legionnaires, which is disastrous, as we'll see shortly, and then it comes back to me, so the Bow Chosen then attack the Archimandrite and kill him, and then pull back 3 inches. We then have his Legionnaires over here attacking the Fenr and killing it. Over here, my other Bow Chosen activate, and all of them aim and shoot against the Bone Golems you can see at the top right there, and they absolutely shred. When you're aiming and shooting with that many Bow Chosen and blooded, and getting the precise shots in there, I think it killed like 1.5 Bone Golems. It's just so effective when they do that. On this side, finally, we have this objective unlocked. Like, this side of the battlefield is going just as badly for my opponent as it's going for me on the other side, so we're fairly even at this point. Close game. We have the Shaman casting the spell that gives the Raiders the rerolls, right? This is a blunder. This is not a good play from me. This is throwing the game. Because I'm up against Aura of Death, I thought, oh, rerolling defense rolls for the entire turn will be handy, but it's not when you're defense 3. What I should have done here is cast Hoarfrost, which does damage to the enemy unit and gives you a bonus damage if you're in combat, which he is. If I could shave off just 1 stand of Legionnaires, that means fewer hits coming my way onto the Raiders and less Aura of Death, giving me a chance to survive, which would be crucial. You can also see the objective marker there. It's just indicating that the center of the zone is directly underneath the Shaman stand. So Bone Golems just... Again, not really knowing what to do here. They take the free reform from the Strategos' Supremacy. They march charge the Mounted Giant. They get no impact hits here from the Forest. This is Tier 3. He is Aura of Death 4 now. So that will hurt the Mounted Giant, but he is really setting me up to deal with them very effectively, and this is taking them away from the zone. So I might be able to score if I can get something in range. We then have the Legionnaires trashing the Raiders. It reduces them to like a few wounds left. And again, this wouldn't have happened if I'd cast Hoarfrost, because I could potentially have killed 1 stand if I'd rolled well. So yeah, a mistake from me. The Kataphraktoi then march and then charge. He has opted to not do any shenanigans with the reform. Again, this is a newer player. He may not be up to speed with some of the super nuanced tricks that all of you old Dominion players in the audience are pulling on a routine daily basis and causing your opponents to cry. They just come in and they wipe out the Bow Chosen, and that is all that they do this turn, except they do have the reform at the end so that they're not flanked, so they can still use their shields against the Giant. So there they are there after killing the Bow Chosen, but as you can see, this is an auto charge from the Giant, and the Trolls, they just simply need to get out of the way. The Trolls don't need to attack the Kataphraktoi. The Trolls need to either go and set up position to take on the Praetorian guards later, or help out with the Bone Golems or whatever they need to do. So they're just going to move past the Bow Chosen here and set up a flank charge against the Legionnaires if needed. Like, if everything goes wrong and I can't clear those damn Legionnaires off the area, then that's what they'll need to do. The Steelforged, which, again, are not particularly well positioned, have reformed and moved through the gap here. I get the feeling that this unit will sort of stay on the objective at the end of the game while everything else moves off it and cleans up. The Ogres now charge the Bone Golems. Due to positioning, I could only get 2 stands in combat. The Forest shuts down the impact hits, but due to being Nords, I still get inspired. So with 2 stands with Cleave plus the additional Straggler, they inflict even more damage onto the Bone Golems here. We then have the beautiful, beautiful Hephaestion, aka Ice Jotnar, charging into the unit of Kataphraktoi, and I must say that the dice rolls here for me suddenly spiked, and the Ice Jotnar just wailed on them, just slamming them with his frosty sword, just bashing them to the ground, and he absolutely deleted these guys. They've got 4 wounds each, and there's a character in there, so I've got to do approximately 16 wounds, but from the impact hits and the Cleave 3 sword and the magic spell that does shots onto them, they failed so many armor saves that I just barely managed to delete them entirely, which was a feel-good moment. So that takes us into turn 6 or 7 or something like that. What I'm going to do here is activate the Jotnar, the Mountain Jotnar that is, and the Bowchosen first to try and finish off the Bone Golems. Then we'll clear the Legionnaires off the objective and start scoring. So this is what it looks like at the start here. On the left-hand side, you can see that my opponent is just camping and scoring over here. What I'm going to need to do is to move this guy, the Ice Jotnar, and the Trolls around here to flank them, and then turn the Bowchosen around to shoot at the Praetorians, clear them off that objective, and score maybe in turn 9 and 10. On this side, I'm about to remove the Bone Golems, and then the Steel Forge will, the Steel Chosen. Everybody's got some kind of steel in this game. I'm going to finish off the Legionnaires and start scoring there, but I'm doing it fairly late. So, Jotnar attacks, kills some Bone Golems, the Bowchosen activate and wipe out the Legionnaires on the zone, which is great, feel good. The Hierodeacon casts a spell into the Mountain Jotnar and severely injures him, if not removes him. Can't remember what happened there. No, they did kill him, and the Ogres then pummel the remaining Bone Golem to delete him. So that's what it's looking like. The Steel Chosen march onto the zone. They're going to be able to score for the rest of the game, and I've even got a couple of Ogres left to go after the Hierodeacon's unit over there. The Trolls, who mistakenly moved in the wrong direction last turn, are now turning around and moving towards the Praetorians. Will it be too late? That's a good question. Over here, the Hierodeacon trying to make himself known, but not much you can do against those Steel Forged. So then we come to the next turn where I'm turning around with the Trolls moving nearer. The Bowchosen can now move towards the Praetorians and shoot them. I've got the right-hand side of the table locked up, but I am down by approximately 8 objective points. So that's what makes this really rough. So we're going to go with the Steel Forge first to go after the Hierodeacon to stop him from doing any more damage, just to shut him up a bit. And then we're leaving the important cards to last because we want to stay out of the Kheres range before we move into to set up the last play. So these guys do a bit more damage to the Ogre. They almost kill him, which would have been a fatal. Well, wouldn't have been fatal, but it would have been annoying because I'm trying to keep the Ogre, rallying and capturing the zone that he's nearby to, while the Steel Chosen leave the zone and kill the Hierodeacon. So they do manage to do that. They charge over here and wipe him out. So the Ogre rallies and just moves back 2 inches, and he's next to the zone, so he can score, even though he's on like 1 wound left. The Bowchosen turn around and they aim at the Praetorians. They get a bunch of 1s, so they do a bunch of damage there, but they are a bit too late. We're not going to have enough time, really, to wipe them out, because he took 6 stands of them, and he's got Aventine armor and Eternal Discipline and all of that. So this is like the end of turn 7. I think we've got 2 turns left here. So this is where the Ice Jotnar is going to need to go directly for the Praetorians. If his Kheres get a shot off on the Ice Jotnar and I roll lots of 6s, because he's at tier 4 at this point for Dark Power, I could just lose the Ice Jotnar to 1 hit, which is bad. So we're going to activate all the characters first and then do the Jotnar and the Bowchosen last. So that's what it looks like here. My opponent can really only activate the Praetorians to activate Bastion, and the Kheres are blocked. They're badly positioned. They really should have come around the bottom of the house here and get in range. So the Bowchosen move in to get some shooting done. He's bastioning up with his Praetorians. Over here, everything's cleaned up, so the Steel Chosen just turn around. The Trolls are marching through. They're going to get one opportunity to charge onto the zone and onto the Praetorians to flank them, get around the shield and use Cleave 1. And then we move in with the Ice Yacht now. Unfortunately, although my roll against the Kataphraktoi were very good, this one was a little bit average, if not below average, and I eliminated some stands here, but I didn't quite wipe them out. We then have the Bowchosen moving in and doing even more damage to them, but is it too late? This is sort of coming to the last turn here. We've got the Ice Shot now, which has to go first, has to win the roll. My opponent actually managed to win it and attack with the Kheres, but my resolve checks against the Insanity, despite him being at tier 4, weren't that bad. Like, I got 1-6, so I didn't lose the Ice Shot. Now, that allows me to attack. That does even more damage to Praetorians. It breaks them. The Praetorians then attack back and do a bit more damage to him, but doesn't quite kill him. He has taken the Awe of Death, by the way, as well, and hasn't died here. So then the trolls can come through. They do even more damage to the Bowchosen and break them, causing a bit of a slaughter there, but they are stuck. They were not going to be able to completely eliminate them. He's got points for killing my Warlord, by the way, which is the Shaman. I haven't got points yet for killing his Strategos. And then the Bowchosen move in and rip him a new one and break the unit, which will stop them from scoring. Quite crucial, so I can score that he can't. But this is actually the end of the game, because I said to my opponent, look, I'm still slightly behind you on points. The Strategos activates next and can actually rally the unit, so you can still score. And in the following turn, which is turn 10, even if the trolls were to kill the Praetorians, move on to the zone, and not die to the insanity from the Kheres, and that's asking quite a bit, even if that happened, the Kheres can actually contest. So I can't actually score there, so I wouldn't have caught up. So the end score was extremely close. Like, it was within a few points, maybe 2 to 4 points, but I did lose this. It was a great game, really fun game. As you guys can see, my opponent made a number of mistakes. I also made some errors, like the way that I played the Shaman and the Raiders wasn't great. There's more that I could have done. So this is not a game about faction and balance. It's not about Nords being strong or Old Dominion being strong. Separately from this game, I will make the comment that Nords are very, very good if you build the exact right build and you know exactly what you're doing. And Old Dominion are too powerful at the moment because there's so many casual builds which can't keep up with them. They're too forgiving. They need a patch badly. But we can still have really good fun games of Conquest like this one without having to worry about game balance too much, because this really did come down to things like dice and player decisions, and it was just a good, wholesome, fun game of Conquest. So please like and subscribe and leave me a comment, and I've got some new content coming for you soon to do with the Crucible of Wills. Bit of animation, stop motion if you guys are into that, bit of acting. Really keen to get working on that next month, so keep your dials tuned or whatever you do to stay on board, and I'll see you there.